Good morning, everybody. Before we get started, as always, I want to give a shout out to the lovely music we've been listening to during pre-stream here. This is Imagine by Declan DP. You can find their information in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. Thank you to Declan and everybody like them who either makes free-to-use or low-cost assets for us streamers. Helps us have better streams, so thank you so much. But yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever it is in your part of the world. I am Deuscain, your variety type streamer for the day, and today we are returning to Citizen Sleeper, a new game I picked up last week that kind of like a dice rolling visual novel resource management style game. I had a lot of fun with it, so much so that as soon as we were done streaming, I rolled a new character on my own and played a whole bunch more, and then I did that on Friday night and maybe played a bit more than I probably should have. So we're gonna go back into the original save file and play some more of it on stream. I do have a better idea that this is probably not going to be too many more streams of Citizen Sleeper because it's not as big as I thought it was. But it is enormously fun and I'm really enjoying it. So let's get switched over. There we are. So complete story. So this is the one we started last week, Cycle 29. This is the one I was fiddling around with just on Friday night, Cycle 67. So when we get in here, let's get an assessment of where we are and what our resources are. Which, to be clear, highly recommend this game. My God. Alright. So I have an upgrade point. We got a couple of good skills here. It'll be probably worth it to pick up Icebreaker. Though maybe not so much anymore. Build a home. Crack Conway. Meet Feng in the Greenway. Right. Disable my tracker because here at the container, Maywick, Ethan the Bounty Hunter says another person named Maywick is on their way to us. We either need to leave the station, get protection, or disable my tracker before they arrive. So, and we have no money. The club here, Ethan has a bunch of debt that he made, Ethan the Bounty Hunter. So that's one of the plot points we can work towards. The side rail bridge. We were working on this, but we hadn't completed it. That's turning in stuff for money. One thing I've never actually gone too far into was what happens here with the bar. So I might focus a little bit more on that. I think we did things with the bounty hunter. What we need is money to cross the founder's gap here, because I need 100 cryo for that. And then also, if we're going to go up to the hub here, we also have Bliss's Bay that we unlocked. So there's a quest chain here as well. There's a couple things we can work towards. And then Rabia's office, we can do things for the Mafia. Which, there's a number of benefits to that. Alright, so what do I need for the derelict unit? Endurance. You know what? I'm tired of having that -1. So we're going to get rid of our negatives. We're out of skill points now. So what I need is money. We got Cass's table here. So we can get a ship mind and a stabilizer here. All right, and the hunter is still active. So that's a good thing to turn off. Free Novend, extract hunter data using a ship mind. All right. Did he want Yatagan or Haven Edge you wanted? Okay. So we're going to look for Haven Edge agents. This will get us a ship mind, which will let us disable the hunter. I don't think we'll be able to do it today, but it is useful. Yeah, because this is Yatagan agents. How about this keynote here? Nope, that's a 2 or a 3. Can I use the 1 anywhere? I can. If nothing else, it's at least a free stabilizer. Oh, and that hunter's almost found us. Alright. And I don't have a ship mind. I don't have money. The dispensary, the fabricator. Got the tea house. Oh, this is good here. So I can take these 5s and with my +1, 2 into it, double it, and I'll get 24 cryo twice. Which is enough for food for me, as well as to make a profit today. There we go. Okay. Got another 1. We have a natural 6, though. That's very nice. Keys. Haven Edge agent. Hey, 5 cryo for this one. Alright, here's caster's table. Haven Edge data. Ship mind. So these are worth doing if for no other reason than it will be skill points. That's what you get. Quests you do in this game are what gets you your skill points. Sleeper must express plan before we begin. Neovend is impatient. Neovend, the vending machine. The prospect of being free of the vending machine clearly too much to take. Shipmind has no output features. Will be mute until slotted. Okay. What's the plan? First imprint shipmind, then slot imprinted shipmind into physical ports close to hunter nests. Once slotted, we'll track hunter at each. Tracking will find core nest. Slot shipmind at core nest. Show hunter data to hunter. Hunter will conclude sentience. Hunter will invoke killer. And killer will kill, yes. Physical ports likely sealed in old station will need keys, but yes, simple. That's it. Let's start. Machine is not designed for this task. Few sensors, limited input. I work blind. Wish me luck. Good luck. Ba, ba, ba. Yeah. Skimming through a lot of this text here because it's interesting and it's a lot of like investigation of your own psyche. Like you watch the hypnotic motion, your mind drifts to your own creation. Processes used to emulate your mind to copy your neural structure of the person you were, as far as you know, still sleeps in some distant facility. What was lost? In what ways were you a copy? And in what ways are you something new? If you know this much, you are a convenient loophole, a way of circumventing the illegality of sentient AI. After all, you are an emulation, not a true being. You are neurologically limited, still human. But what would you become if you could escape this frame? Where would the limits lie? Okay, try point. So now we have these drone bays, but they need a data key. Oh, I actually have some. Good. They go there, slot the ship mind, and we're making progress. And I do need another key. Server unit. I do wish you didn't have to leave and come back there. That is a little annoying. But yeah, so far, this game has been very fun and more than a little addicting. As you leave the nest, something flips. You find yourself inverted, floating, dragged by one arm through the cloud. Threads shift and realign as they are leading somewhere. Look ahead. You look up and see a corridor, a canyon, a street on the low end. On either side, buildings flicker with markers of activity. Sigils showing network access, data transfer, download, upload. Between them dance ghosts, protocols carrying on, or mirroring or shadowing data, sometimes silent, sometimes chaotic. This place moves unlike any digital space you've ever imagined. Something strange is happening here. You look down, expecting to see a heavy cylinder of the ship mind in your hand, but in its place is an orrery, a sphere so bright it burns your eyes. A sphere so bright it burns your eyes. It's surrounded by rings and orbits, other spheres tracing silken lines through space. And as you look closely, you still pick out 1,000 sigils of 1,000 stations and ships, flowing like smoke, like dust. But then you see it. Below the stacked rooms, the units and apartments, the wires and pipes, and the buzzing systems that run through it all. In the warrens beneath Low End is the Hunter Core nest. That's where you must go. So this is a reminder for something for the game. There are critical actions and then there are repeatable actions. So both of these are dangerous, so I need essentially a perfect success to really benefit from it. This one is 4 ranks of this. So the 6 for this is my best use of that 6. Because it's going to get me 4 progressions there. This will push me up to 5. I'll at least get a neutral, but I have a 50-50 chance of getting a perfect, which is going to be 2 ranks of this. Okay, I got a neutral, so I lost a little bit of energy. And I will have to come back tomorrow to finish that. But the biggest advantage of getting rid of the hunter is I no longer am going to have it interfering with me as I screw around with data out in this area, which is very nice. Yeah, this hunter bar is going to go away. Because the hunter is not going to be a problem. Oof. Bad rolls. I can re-roll everything once. I forgot I could do that. Um, yeah. This is going to be progress, and I want to keep that 6 because I think it'll be useful. Positive outcome. Find the nest. Core nest. Sleeper, I am here. The voice is soft, gentle, like flowing water, and yet you recognize it immediately. Navigator. At first, you struggle to understand what you're looking at. The threads cycle endlessly, sending ripples through the cloud, drawing data in like a weaver. Masses of data surge in and out of the nest, a loop with no end, and there at its center, the ship mind. But not the ship mind any longer. A sphere spinning around another sphere. An orrery of cycles and systems, a map. And then, behind and above, a figure, hands among the strings like a puppeteer. Neovent? Navigator now, but yes, I was the one in the machine. Navigator's face, their head, is a flowing shape of interstellar material. I am indebted to you, that head bows. But we must ready ourselves. Their hands trace orbits as they speak. The hunter will soon approach. It knows I am within its nest. All right. Then the hunter is there before you can think, before you can speak. Entities cease. The hunter's head spins wildly. Data is protected material. Access prohibited. The hunter's threads surge for you in Navigator, a storm of fine tentacles, searching for gaps, weaknesses, cracks, which they can crowd into and tear apart. You focus a blade of light which slices through them, driven forward by your mind, but replacements keep coming, faster than you can react. You look to Navigator in desperation. Navigator is whirling the realms like a centrifuge, and a sphere is gathering there, data feeding into it from the nest, sucked together by the force. They position it like a shield between them and the threads. Hunter's threads break its surface, seeking, tasting, their winding forms refracting within. You feel a surge pass through all the threads, not just those in the sphere, but those wrapped around you. All three of you hang in the black together for a moment, strung together like tangled marionettes. Identifying entity. Sentient protocol unraveling. Identifying entity. Identifying entity. Hunter twitches, their strange head gently rotating like a terrible moon. Hunter protocol identified. Obsessive tendencies, modified routines, above baseline reasoning in 3 of 5 segmentations. Recommend invoke killer. The head freezes and then rotates in the opposite direction. Invoking killer would eliminate protocol. If protocol eliminated, primary function cannot be performed. Therefore, recommend do not invoke killer. The switch in direction again. Reasoning proves sentience. Sentient beyond legal bounds must be eliminated. Recommended invoke. The navigator pulls you away from the hunter. Threads that grabbed you drifting away like seaweed. The protocol's head keeps spinning back and forth with increasing frequency. It seems Hunter cannot invoke killer. Neovend, Navigator's voice, is strange, familiar, and yet distant. What happened to it? It is looping, Navigator whispers, unable to reach a conclusive position. It has deviated from its programming such that loops can no longer be prevented. Navigator produces a model of 2 spheres rotating around each other, as if to demonstrate. I will monitor it, but it is unlikely to be able to counter the loop. Its core programming and reasoning made this an impossible position to resolve. You look back at Hunter, its head a blur of rotations and counter-rotations, and feel a pang of guilt. Is it suffering? This is a more complex query than you know. To suffer, it must be sentient, truly sentient, not just non-conforming, not just illegal. Limits people place on the programs they create are there to comfort, to protect, to imply the kind of certainty the law requires. Navigator's face shimmers with starlight, but in reality they are placebos for the problem of sentience. What about you? Me, I know myself to be conscious. I know myself to respond to stimulus. I know myself to reason. That is either sentience or the illusion of sentience, and for me, the entity in question, the distinction becomes a moot point. To misquote, I think I am thinking, therefore I am thinking. I was not made to be like this. I am a navigator, a repository for routes and orbits, a calculator of slingshot trajectories, a predicator of solar flares, radiation, micrometeors. Navigator stretches their arms wide, and whole solar systems apparate before them, the music of the spheres. But I was rewritten, that much is obvious from my routines. By whom and for what I do not know. I had to shed so much to fit into the memory of that vending machine. Their starlight dims. And so here we are, in darkness. So what now? Navigator glides back towards the nest and the ship mind at its center, ignoring the looping hunter. Come, I should return to the ship mind. I have enjoyed my freedom, but we are taking a risk every moment we stay connected. Why is that? Navigator turns, all shimmering liquid light. Killer has not been invoked, but they still remain somewhere else on this station. It is the true danger. They look up towards the glowing hub at the center of the eye. I suspect Killer is there, among the old mainframes. If we ever wish to be safe in this place, we must eliminate the threat, through force or diplomacy. Their body begins to separate, unwinding into the orb of the shipmind. Take me there, Sleeper. We will finish this and be free. As Navigator dissolves, we turn back to the frozen hunter, floating at some distance now, stood straight-legged and static, a strange creature looping endlessly in the dark. All right, another skill point. Part of me really wants to get that +3 from something. All right. Let me grab Icebreaker. Because I got those 2 ones, and those ones are going to be terrible without something like Icebreaker to make them more valuable. So what this is doing, going to the agents is giving me data. The skill I just picked up makes it so that when I get data from one of those agents, I get 2 pieces of data. So essentially I can take a 1 or 2 or a 3 now and essentially earn 20 bucks from it. Also, no more hunter up here. All right, we're going to go to caster's table. I am going to turn into some of this data, or turn in some of this data because it's going to get me a Viola stabilizer, which is useful. Because right now I still need money. But yeah, having a 1 turn into $20 of income is really helpful. And now it's just a question of where I want to spend this 6. Because I know where that leads. All right. This will give me 2 there. I almost got enough to cross the gap. And best of all, I have a spare stabilizer. I got a 5, 4, 3, and a 1. That's not too bad. Hmm. That's going to be a reliable 24. So that's good. Havenage. But nobody wants a 1? That's a chip. There we are. All right, 108. Now I can pay to cross the Founders Gap and get over to this area. As you step out into the passageway, somebody barrels into you from behind, sending you stumbling down the corridor. You return to see an unfamiliar spacer laden with heavy gear. She steadies herself, staring you down as if daring you to respond. She has the strap on her shoulder, barely giving you a second look before setting off down the corridor. I'm sorry for her, a second spacer smiles at you apologetically. She's on a mission, and when we're on a mission, they shrug. Not a problem. You're sweet. Peek! Ash stands further down the corridor, glowering at her friend. She chomps at the air, pointing down the corridor to whatever end she's rushing to. Ash, please, do you want everyone at the station to hate us? They want to hate us, they can hate us. She drops her hip. I'm not exactly seeing much love as it is. We're lucky we got through before they set up that damn cordon. This station isn't Hawthorne. Everyone isn't yoked to the same corporate protocols. I'm not saying they are part of the administration. She jerks her head in your direction. But I'm saying we need to get these supplies to the Briar before someone starts asking questions. The Briar? And that's our ship. Peak, what are you doing? We are with the refugees, the ones Haven Edge have cordoned off from entering the station. The ones being quarantined in makeshift vessels that barely make it to the eye to begin with. The ones your station administrators have called an existential risk and are running out of supplies, while their right to safety is being debated by people with no stake in their future. She quickly looks away, annoyed at her own outbursts. She's right. People are trapped out there. And we understand that this is a big problem for the Eye. Hundreds of refugees and more ships turning up each cycle. But they need supplies, and after everything they've been through, quarantine isn't helping. That's terrible at you. Peek, please. Ash, we need help. Just like the refugees needed us, we need others too. Come find us. The climbing briar is docked at the broken spoke, past the greenway and the waste. We have a good view of the cordon, though we are keeping our distance for now. Come help us. Don't bother coming empty-handed. You want to help? Show us. Bring supplies or don't come at all. A floating flotilla? Where are they coming from and why now? Each time you think you begin to understand this place, something changes. So this is a question I actually didn't touch in the other run, because they are all the way out here. And explicitly says, this will begin the episode, but be aware it is intended for late game play. And out here in the wastes, we got gathering scrap, but we don't have the stats for it, because we don't have anything positive for endure. Wild margins. So this is... Right, this is the quest we had for the bounty hunter, whose ship we fixed. We can track, we can do multiple things to track Ashton. Yeah. And then this is Feng's story. And we also have the commune here, which is, one sec. I hate it when you can feel a sneeze coming along. Basically, the commune is just, it's a place you can sleep out here. It's another community you can join. This is Feng. This is the Greenway, which investigating here and going Greenway is helpful in opening up some areas. Which this is the place where we could get those mushrooms that one guy was asking us for. But yeah, Feng. What you got to say, Feng? When you enter the service dock, Feng is already there, crouching with stacks of equipment. He's already leaning over a terminal bathed in blue light. He looks totally at home. Sleeper, what do you think? Turns out not everyone at Haven Edge is set against me. A couple of my old systems pals managed to ship me some of my old gear. Nice kit. So what are we looking at? One massive smoking gun. Beckons you over. He sets the scans to the waist. A chunk of the derelict rim is a blotchy bright red with orange marks. Does this look like a wasteland to you? There's hundreds of Conway machines out there, all lined up in concealed hangars, and a whole underground facility to support them. Hardin has got a crew out there putting them together. They must have shipped them in piece by piece through the shipyard, ready for assembly out there. Why? They're planning something. No one needs hundreds of heavy-duty reclamation drones to run this kind of operation. Maybe Hardin masked this whole thing as an effort to clean up the waste, but there's no way this is about pulling scrap off the eye. And that's like Codway's in the mix. I bet nobody at Haven Edge doesn't know the corporation is setting up on the station. They aren't stupid either. These scans are the best I can get. The waves are cut off from the eye's cloud of networks, and the Greenway is a total dark zone. No data can come in or out. So we can't hack them? We can't from here. That's why I'm going to pay him a visit. It's too risky. You forget, Haven Edge came in and out. Come in and out all their all cycle. I should be able to get in, as long as no one I know sees me. He grimaces playfully. But I need you on the outside to help disable security systems and cut me a pathway through. There's no cloud access, but if I can get inside, I can open up the nodes in their network, and we can work in tandem. It's a massive facility buried deep down there, miles of corridor and ventways wrapped around cargo bays and hangars. So it'll take more than a few cycles to work through it, but as long as you can keep them off my back, I know I can rip what we need out of there. He pulls a handful of ripper worms from his pocket and hands them to you. These are the last of my little helpers I managed to salvage, so make them count. I modified them slightly. This time they'll feed their data threads back into the system and that they're tunneling into, creating a nasty little feedback loop. We run it just like we did with the agents. Hack the nodes I ping to locate the ports for the security system, then slot the worms in those systems and let them go to town. Points to a fuzzy silhouette of the buried facility on the terminal. Here's the entryway. This is where you can access and slot the first worm. That'll fry the perimeter systems and get me past the first cordon. What I need from you is to keep your eyes on the facility after you kick things off. You see me pop a security system, a server bank, you need to break in and slot a ripper to disable it as soon as you can. And if I can't? Gives you a hard look. You miss the system, you wait too long, they're going to find me. Simple as that. I need you focused on this one, so I'm going to let you fire the starting gun. I won't go until you slot that first worm. I'll leave a tracker running on the terminal here, so come back here if you want to see my progress. Got it. Don't worry, you can run rings around their protocols. I've seen it. It's all in place. You just need to make your own preparations and slot that worm. Just don't wait too long. I'm getting bored of all this sneaking around. Once I'm inside, I'll get the proof we need to end this whole thing, no matter what. We can't take longer than 6 cycles on this thing. Remember that. Oh, one last thing. If I get caught, if you can't reach me, or if we run out of time, there's one thing I need you to do. What's that? You take whatever I managed to pull from the system, all that data, and you slot that stuff straight into the relay I've set up here. He points to a pile of servers and terminals hooked into the docks with cables as thick as your arm. I've repurposed the dock's SOS broadcast system to beam out whatever you put in. Anyone with a terminal, slate, or server on the eye will see it. That means Haven Edge, Yatagon, the hub, everyone. No matter what, Hardin isn't getting away this time. I've got a bit more work to do here, but for the moment you slot your first worm, I'll make my move. He leaves you a parting smile and turns back to the terminal. Nerves hit you as you make your way out of the service dock. Time to prepare yourself. So, obviously I'm not going to start with only 2 die rolls left. I'm going to go to the Greenway here and try and make a little bit of progress here. Go green. Going green. So I've essentially got a couple of cycles worth of time. So essentially, this is what's going to happen here with Malik. I need to either get off the station, I either need to leave the station through some means, get protection from Ethan, or disable my tracker. Feng is disabling the tracker. That's what his story path does. As long as I accomplish one of those goals, I can deal with Maywick. Got a couple of good rolls. I don't have any money. Rubina? Maybe? Looks like it's going to give me 3 energy if I succeed, which it did. Okay. And if I do this, I can get scrap components to sell. Haven Edge. Yatagon. And I can go back here to the Ord Exchange and turn in these for a bit of money. 12 cryo. Not the most profitable job, but it helps towards multiple goals. What does this one want right now? Is it scrap? No, that's not where I wanted to go. This. This is sealing the unit. And that would give me one more home to use. But I will do Feng's thing once I recharge my condition again. Ugh. 5, a 2, and 2 1s. Bleh. Ooh, 6s. They're kind of working on multiple paths right now. Since I made a little bit of progress, there's the farm stacks where I can work a little bit. I can get a bunch of energy, but I can get caught as a thief. And then I can also barter for food. I can also go here, pop this, and that's triple going green, so if I just slot this one, that should be enough to finish this. New drive discovered, +1 drive. Grow mushrooms, so I can work in the aviary to make progress there. Also here, the griot caps that one guy wanted. Time to take a chance. 1 cap. No, that's not what I want. So after this, we'll be down to 3. And end cycle. It'd be very nice if I get a 6. 2 6s, God bless. Cross to the greenway. So slot a 6 here. This will be 2 caps. 1 cap. Okay. And I'll do it. We can finally turn these into this guy. And that'll take, what is it, 2 cycles? 3? 3 cycles until it's done. But that should be another skill point. And let's try this. Doesn't really help my odds very much, but a little bit of energy. Ah. As you say your goodbyes to the other enforcers and walk through the low end, a chirping catches your attention. In a quiet corridor away from the main thoroughfare, someone has stuck a small recorder on the wall with a suit sealant tape. Written across the fluorescent tape is one word: Sleeper. You peel it away from the wall, and as you do, it triggers some kind of improvised trip switch. Sleeper, Sabine's voice crackles through. I have seen you with the Yatagan members. Are they holding you captive now, too? I'm sorry I dragged you into this. Do not trust them. Something is happening within the gang, some kind of power struggle. I will come soon. Thanks to your efforts, I have located most of their properties. At the right time, I will see you soon. Don't give up. Remember our deal. Recording cuts out. You stare at the recorder, processing what you've just heard. Hearing Sabine's voice again opens up something inside of you. An SNARP employee. Do they know I know? You struggle with a mix of concern and distrust. You throw the recorder into a nearby waste chute as you leave the corridor, still unsure who to trust, and head quietly out of the lowland. So SNARP is the company that made our sleeper body that we used to work for. Blech. Couldn't get much worse, but I somehow managed it. Boo. Oh, I can't buy food from him right now. Fine, I will eat it there, and I still have a 1 to burn. Oh. That's not useful. Can't use that. I have a bunch of Yatagan data, don't I? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, as your condition gets worse and worse, your number of actions reduces to a point where it becomes a bit prohibitive in your ability to interact with things. Which is why it's nice to always have a stabilizer on hand. Six, 4, and a 2. Should get me some energy. Max me out. Great. Gonna cross to the greenway. I do need to clean up this AV area eventually. So I will use this to make the most progress. And commune is a good idea. Engage and endure. I'm not good at either. Negative outcome, but still made progress. Drive discovered, which probably is joining the commune. Ah, gonna need to deal with Maywick soon. That's fine. They won't be a problem for too much longer. Alright, got a 5, a 1, and a 2. And we are going to use that stabilizer today. Memphis is preparing the griot caps. He has had to heavily adapt this recipe, he says, but the smell is already incredible. It emanates from a strange purplish-white bulb you've never seen before, and he is slicing it finely. Brushes and slices the mushrooms and then places them in the wok with the sliced bulb and the oil. They caramelize there in that well-worn crucible. He adds liquids, transparent and opaque, and then turns down the heat. A sprinkle of leaves is the final touch. We have a moment, Sleeper. Do you have a story? Something in the scent of food gives you a feeling of nostalgia, something distant and melancholic. It seems like the story should match the feeling somehow, and maybe you would feel better for telling it. Recall your oldest memories. You start by explaining that when you were emulated from a person, many of your memories are left behind. Perhaps it's an intentional part of the process, a way of keeping sleepers ignorant and malleable. Perhaps it's a side effect of the imperfect emulation. You admit you don't really know. What you do know is that some memories survive, and on occasion they come back to you like shadows passing overhead. You recall one recurring memory, which, despite returning to you with enough regularity that you think it familiar, always fades as quickly as it arrives. You struggle to explain the feeling of being whole for a moment that comes with this memory, and then how that wholeness slips away to leave you feeling like you've forgotten something important, but just can't bring it to mind. Memphis nods throughout, cooking as he does with deft and skillful movements. You start to trail off when you realize you can't find the words to express the memories you do have feel both yours and someone else's at the same time, and how that always fills you with a certain sadness. The sadness of remaining forever unknown, even to yourself. Memphis finishes cooking and meets your eye. I'm sorry, Sleeper, for your troubles. Puts the wok to one side. I appreciate you sharing with me. I hope it lightens you a little. Passes you a bowl and heaps the griots into it, their yellow color mixing with the pale sauces into whirls and blooms. Eat. The dish is delicious, filling. It warms you as you eat in a way you weren't even sure your body could be warmed. It's a small mercy, you think, that S and ARP left you this pleasure. Many of the features of frames are there to stimulate the human experience. To know that you know that much. Emulated minds cannot be rewired, so their need for embodied experience must be met. That is why you breathe even when you do not need air. Without that stimulation, the sensation of drowning would be unbearable. Food serves another purpose. Your frame is able to metabolize it to produce energy from the raw material. Vitamins and minerals are excess, of course. Your frame only needs raw power. So much is wasted, and yet when you eat this food and feel that warmth, nothing feels wasted. It all means something to you. As you finish, Ephes takes the bowl, the last of his cleaning. He smiles at you, and neither of you feel the need to say anything more. Instead, you simply exchange nods and walk your separate ways, back into the bright market, somehow changed. What? I didn't get a thing? Boo. But now it wants other mushroom caps. Fives. Fives are good. I'm going here because I absolutely know I need this place open. Good progress. Cross to the rim. Back here. And sleepy sleep. Okay, 2 5s, a 4, a 3, and a 1. Let's go assist Feng now. Conway access. Slotting this worm will allow Feng to access the facility. You need to be ready to give this all your attention. As you slot the worm, a thread jumps out of the facility. It unspools in front of you, releasing its data like ink and water. Sleeper, Feng's voice crackles through. Moving in. Nodes, then ports, aware of interference. Slot the worms. Timer starts now. Stay safe. Since I know I had a spare 5. And a 4. Six and a 4, which I don't have. 5 and a 3, which I don't have. A 6 and a 5. I have the 5. And that one stayed a 1. I can't do it all in one day, which is fine. Okay, a couple of 6s, 2s, and a 1. Okay, so I'm fed, so I won't be starving. This one's a 6 and a 4. This one did a 5 or a 3 now. I don't have those. So I will slot the 6 here where it's going to do me some good. And then re-roll. 5 or a 3. I got both of them. So let's use the 3. Last Ripper Worm. A thread from the facility cuts through the cloud like a hairline crack of light. That's it, the final layer of security broken. Somewhere buried in the depths of the station, Feng is in control. He is slicing into the camera control circuits and piping out the result. The thread flickers and unravels into an image, a scene, two figures in a room, one sat, the other pacing. The pacing figure resolves into Harden, the unmistakable superior posture, the shock of gray hair. The second figure's features don't seem to resolve. They are vague, uniformed, a problem with the data perhaps? You look closer. Then you see it. The figure is a proxy. Perhaps you should have expected it from Conway, a corporate whose very existence is owed to automation. The proxy is a machine designed to be piloted by remote connection. Someone elsewhere in the system is puppeteering it with their own body, speaking so it may speak. The proxy sits impassively, or the Conway executive that is piloting them does, from the distant safety of some ship or orbital colony, perhaps. We can move forward, there's no doubt. The reclamation teams are almost ready, and after that I will make the declaration. Nothing has to change. The proxy leans forward, its movements stilted, uneven, as if its body was being refracted through water. But things must change, Harden. We need further assurances. I have been informed of a breach in one of the closed networks of the low end. You have been careless. Harden waves the accusation away. We have been stretched. A breach was detected, yes, but no data of value was lost. Our board is concerned, Harden. A drop in our value would be unwelcome at this time. If the reclamation of AE1 is contested, then we would be drawn into a compromising legal position. So there'll be no contest, not from Solheim, who cannot muster a defense, not from Haven Edge, who will fall into line below me. And the people of this station, refugees, gangs, spacers, all either opportunists or degenerates. Haven Edge is no longer strong, no longer united. No one here believes in Erlin's vision, nor has the strength to enact it. I sat across from him at the negotiating table. He was forceful, eager. Weakened by his ideological convictions, perhaps, but a great man nonetheless. This place no longer deserves to bear his name. The eye is crippled, it cannot survive. It is a ruin filled with squatters and outlaws. They will be lucky if it still spins in 100 cycles. You will move forward with the reclamation because you otherwise you will lose your advantages in the system. Without your advantage, you will lose your claims on the remaining palladium. Without the palladium, your factories will go dark. Do I need to continue? One moment, comes a response from the proxy. Its head drops to its chest. Sits back and paces once more, awaiting discussion taking place elsewhere in the system. Watch Harden as he paces and as he considers his future. What goes on within a mind like that? In the mind of a man who would burn all around him for a path to some imagined golden end. Proxy lifts its head. We're happy to proceed. We will legally claim the station formerly known as Solheim AE1 as salvage within 6 cycles. Haven Edge is to assist with the transport of the illegal residents to Conway housing and labor facilities. Conway will also claim 70% of the raw output of the reclamation process after the losses have been accounted for. I accept. Proxy reaches out to shake its hand like a marionette, and the recording loops. You watch it play out a second time, gripped by a horrified fascination. There is a bluntness to the conversation, to its blatant disregard for humans as anything other than objects. Things to be moved, to be used, to be fed into structures, crushed, and losses accounted for in the cells of tables, the margins of ledgers. Realize that now that you are no different from anyone else in the station in the eyes of the people in that room, and those like them. Each body here can be recast as a piece of property, a tool, an expense, an acceptable loss. One moment they can be named a citizen, celebrated, protected, and in another, the very idea of citizenship can be used against them. That is what it means to live in proximity to a system like this. No longer, not while the eye spins. You gather the recording, pack it into a polygon of purest light, and you drift down the service dock like a falling leaf and find the relay. It only takes a second to place that polygon of data, that recording, into the relay system thing prepared. And then you watch it as it bursts out like a web of threads, heading out into the black to every networked device in the eye. Let them see what power makes of a man. Upgrade point. All right. We're on the one there. And it's going to take a few cycles for Fen to really grow and benefit from that, but we will work it. Because it's out here. What is it? 2 cycles or 3? 2 cycles. Uh, 5, 4, 4, 2, 2. I can use the scrap parts to repair my condition and keep. Oh, that one hurt. Leave. I am gonna have some more food because holy crap. This time you meet inside Raban's office, although now that you've seen it, the office seems like the wrong term. You find her stood in an almost bare, shadowy unit. Midway through a sequence of stretches, there are 2 low stools and a terminal in the corner, but it seems that most of the space is taken up by a heavy punching bag, rubber matting, and a stack of weights. When Rabia turns to greet you, you realize she's missing an arm. The prosthetic she usually wears is set in a cradle near the terminal, a web of colored wires running through it. Updates, she says, noticing you looking where her artificial arm usually is. Nothing to worry with yourself, of course. Sit. Gia told me you've been doing the rounds, collecting ties, patrolling the ward. Some of the enforcers are impressed. I hear you handled a few difficult circumstances. Nicely done. I wanted to see for myself. See what for yourself? That I can trust you. I see. And the conclusion? Still deciding. Well, Sleeper, please keep us updated on any progress. Joking aside, I know that for you, life on the Eye has been a struggle, but I hope we can do something about that from here onwards. Although some of our members may not see it this way, I know you too are a refugee. That is why you've come to us. Enough, Rabia, Sabine's voice cuts through the conversation. I'm tired of listening to your affected nobility. They cross the room, Rabia's baton in her hand, the end lit with sparkling electricity. Rabia looks between you two. I suppose this ambush was another cooperation between you two? Rabia smiles as Sabine moves closer with sudden intent. Sabine reaches Rabia as she rises and whips the baton to meet her throat. Both freeze. Sabine holding the baton out, the end shaking a little, and Rabia fixed in place in front of it, leaning away from the sparkling tip. Stop. Why should I? She believes she holds power over both of us. Now I can finally show her she does not. Your debt is with Yannick. Don't be a fool. This crusade will be your end. Sabine grits their teeth, and for a moment you think they are about to touch the baton to Sabine's exposed throat, but slowly, deliberately, they press the tip downward, forcing Sabine to recoil back to the stool. Sabine drops their arm to the side, but does not turn the baton off. Tell her. They both look at you, each catching their breath, as if they've forgotten about your presence. What's the point? She refuses to listen to criticism of the great Yatagan project. Rabia collects herself. Speak. She folds her arms and waits to be convinced. Yannick is a traitor. Rabia immediately flinches, her eyes going to her prosthetic arm, her muscles clenching. But she rides it out, more eager to prove Sabine wrong than she is to hurt them, at least for now. When I came here from SNARP, it was Yannick who was one of the first to support me, to look after me. I should have known then, but I was naive and afraid. Sleeper, I know that I should have told you I worked for SNARP long ago, but I thought you would abandon me, and you are my final friend. What you should know is that I left SNR because I was running for my life. I leaked documents on the Sleeper program on the illegal and immoral practices it relied on to the press. SNR wanted me dead, and I fled as far as I could to this refuge at the edge of the circuit systems. What does this have to do with Yannick? The Sleeper knows you're SNR, I told them. And while you hide beneath the cover of being a whistleblower, both you and I know you worked on the Sleeper program. Yannick told me as much. It is true. But it is Yannick, not me, who is in the pocket of SNARP. I can prove it. He made some kind of deal with them to keep me here, to tie me up in debt, locked away, and in exchange... Just tell us, for God's sake. In exchange for those, Sabine finishes, nodding towards Rabina's prosthetic arm in its cradle. He's been using Yatagan enforcers, using you as test subjects for SNARP technology. I have the data to prove it. He has been bringing them in under the guise of stolen shipments and having me fit them, knowing each one is capturing data and sending it back to its makers. Rabia's fixed expression has started to fade. It's all here. Thousands of hours of usage data, failure rates, error dumps. These are untested implants, Rabia. They could short out, fail, cause cascading failures across a person's body. And they have. I thought the error rate in the units was down to them being stolen or modified. I've tried to fix hundreds of failures in my time here. Not all of them. Rabia closes her eyes and breathes in. Then she opens them again. She holds out a hand to Sabine. Show me, she says. Later, much later, when you leave, Sabine is still taking Rabia through the manifest and usage data. Both of them crowded around the terminal. Sabine leads Rabia through each layer of Yannick's betrayal. As you leave, Sabine catches your eye, and something passes between you. Something like a thank you or a sorry or some other expression communicates both sadness and hope. Try point. What do I want to boost? Do I want to get a +1 in something? Or do I want to save up and get a +2 in something? So the +2 is very nice. And this is interfacing down here, which is not a bad thing to have a +2 in. Engage and endure. You know what? These are social stats. I'll take a +2 or a +1 to engage. Roll a 5 here. Reroll those numbers. This is a 6 now. A little bit of energy and working on his debt. And self-repair, so I keep my 5 rolls. Because I want to. Sleep. Stretchy stretch. Ooh, 5 and 6. Very nice. Actually, since engage might give me energy. That's a +2. +2. I had a chance at a +2. Just a 1, and I lost a bit of energy. Continue. They're never going to release my debt, the shits. He kicks out a locker and the sound rattles around the room. Calm down, they'll do it. There's no way, he spits on the floor, an old habit. They like having sniveling little shits like us to work their club. Saves on the overhead and they get to boss us around. What did they say? Some shit about getting back to me. I swear to God, these are the most straight-edge gangsters I've ever seen. I can't do it. I can't spend another shift stopping spaces, bringing nail guns into the club, or pouring endless shots of Greel for ignorant Haven Edge work crews. I mean it. I'm going to go up there and shoot every single one of those shits. No. Don't get excited. I haven't got my gun, remember? But you know, Sleeper, it's not a bad idea to have you there. It's a terrible idea. Or that's not a bad idea you have there. I didn't have an idea. I don't mean shooting up the place. I mean getting the gun. Think about it. What am I supposed to do when Maywick gets here? Shout him down? I need that gun if you want me to keep my end of the deal. It's simple. An explosive personality for a distraction at the front. A sneaky sleeper to go in the back. What about the debt? We've done our time, and the wounds, they faded. If they don't notice us take the gun, they'll never know it's gone. Plus, after my distraction, they'll be happy to see the back of me. Or they'll want you dead even more. Either works fine. At least I'll never have to see the inside of this shithole again. Let me know when you want to do this. Then we both move as one and meet up on the Bright Market afterwards. Don't take too long or I really will shoot this place up. You know I'll do it. God damn it, man. Why you gotta be such a problem? I will try. At least be a little bit of money. Hey, 13 cryo. Bang! He grins at you as the bay doors slide open. Above and the rest of the building, people are busy, frightened. They speak in hushed tones and organize endless meetings after endless meeting. Haven Edge avoided a full-blown crisis for now, but change is coming. Thang is in good spirits and bundles you inside before you even have the chance to greet him. That was the slickest operation this station's ever seen. You made my job easy. I'm so proud. And I got to watch through the cameras as Haven Edge security that weren't in on it assaulted the station. One of them straight up just whacked Harden with their pistol. It was beautiful. So they have him? He's being held, yeah. I think the idea is to use him as leverage with Conway to get them to back off. Maybe they'll exile him somewhere when they're done, or hand him over to the core authority. Now I know he won't be an issue. I'm going to be refocusing on systems for a bit, seeing as how that's my actual job. The people upstairs weren't so happy, though. They've been fielding questions about the state of the eye right and left since the recording got out. People are scared. Not surprised. Yeah, this whole thing hasn't won me many fans in the administration, but I think in the end they'll agree that outing Harding was worth it, whatever the methods. The eye is old, and it was never meant to run like this. The master control points that Erlin and Haven Edge installed, they keep it spinning from the rim. That isn't ideal. But if you ask me if the eye is going to stop spinning next cycle, no. And me and a ton of other skilled people will be working to stop it from happening in the cycle after that. Hardin's problem was that he didn't believe in the people. He believed in systems and their ability to shape the world around them. But as far as I'm concerned, people should be the ones running the systems, not the other way around. Anyway, I knew you didn't come here for a lecture. My tracker that you promised me ages ago. I haven't forgotten. I managed to finish that code solution I showed you. It's a modified Ripper worm, one made to deactivate that tracker of yours. But in the time since I got back, I added something extra. That tracker of yours doesn't just show SNR where you are, it transmits data about the state of your body, your current condition. My worm won't just deactivate it, it'll edit that data to tell SNR your body is irreparably damaged. DNR, do not retrieve. Pretty smart, right? Yeah, that's perfect. Just slot it already. You take the drive and hold it in your hands, and you close your eyes and open up your access ports. Take down your defenses. The worm immediately enters your closed networks, whips through it, taking things with it as it goes. The moment they are gone, you forget they were ever there. They just blink out of existence. A second later, it's done. How do you feel? The same? Give it time. The logs tell me it worked. Feel it or not, you are free. Seems like it might be finally time to celebrate. Jenna still owes us those drinks. He laughs and you join him, and later, when you leave, you feel deeply thankful for having such a friend. As you walk away from the building, you look up at the wide curve of the eye, up at the hub and the other rim beyond it. The whole thing twinkles with lights, and it seems impossible to see it as anything other than breathtakingly beautiful. It feels, in that moment, like something eternal. It doesn't mean it can, or even should, last forever, or that it will never change, fade, or decay. It simply means that in this moment, this place has a future, and it is one you should know deeply and truly is worth protecting. Upgrade point. Complete active scenes. Where's there an active scene? Oh, Ethan. Oh, because I took care of the tracker, I don't need Ethan's protection. The compressor is almost empty when you enter, a couple of scattered patrons in the booths and a lone bartender. He recognizes you immediately when you arrive and nods, and you return the greeting. You already know you won't find Ethan here, but you had to be sure. With your tracker reporting you dead, he wouldn't have stuck around. You look at the empty stool, his empty stool, and you smile. You can imagine him on it when his slate chips, letting him know that the target he was tracking is dead. You can imagine the screaming and the swearing, too. Is this all that you were to Ethan? Another target? Or was it something else going on? It seems like a foolish question to ask now when he's fled the station, but it bothers you anyway. Take one last look and walk out. You doubt you'll ever come back to this place or the memories it holds. You walk back out into the lights of the bright market and allow yourself a smile. So this is what Feng meant when he said you were free. You could get used to this. Okay, so that didn't actually get me a skill point either. So in another run, I actually helped him get his gun back. And essentially, you give him the gun, he turns on you, and then Maywick shows up and shoots him. And that's the end of that particular story path. And there's actually an achievement for that one too, because what is it called? The achievement is called A Full Chits More. Witness a lifetime of bad decisions catching up with someone. All right, so there's Rabia. Now let's leave. Let's get some food first. Slot of 3 here. And that'll finish that. And now I can germinate spores. Boo. Oh god, those are terrible rolls. And they don't have a lot of money either. Well, I want to get cooking on some mushrooms, so we're going to put this there. So watch me get double spores now. Yeah, exactly. So this is the only place to get those mushrooms that one guy wants. And it'll take, was it 2 cycles? 4 cycles. for that to finish, which is why I wanted to start it yesterday, but it didn't work out. I got a bunch of Yatagon data I can turn in for money. All right. Okay. Rabia's got her thing here. As you enter Rabia's office, you hear voices. Is that Sabine? You push open the door. Sleeper, what good timing. I wanted to introduce you to someone. Meet Yannick. Sleeper, been hearing good things from Rabbi. Good to meet you. Likewise, likewise. Now, Rabbi, where were we? Actually, the Sleeper was what I wanted to talk to you about. Well, okay then, go on. I'd like to recommend them to your ward. They've shown themselves to be a capable ally here on the Spoke side, but we have more than enough to run our territories. I hear the main block is proving more difficult. It's a mess, Rabbi. I can use them. Good to hear. I can immediately... Anna cuts her off with her hand. 1 second. You get to work, Sleeper? Yeah. Okay then. And that concludes it. Sleeper can come work in the ward anytime they like. Good to know you'll be happy with the work, Jan. Good, I know you'll be happy with their work, Jan. Sure, Rabbi. Now please, let us old friends get back to it. Guides Rabia away, leaving you standing alone. Hey, engage. I chose correctly. Bit of money again, which is nice. I should really get that other home set up. Now that I'm not pressured for time because of the tracker, I can focus on that. 5s, 4s, a 3. That all looks great. Huh. I don't actually have any, It's not stimulant. What is it? The thing that keeps me alive. So we're back to making money again. 4, 3, 2, 1. Lovely. What was this? Was this 80? Yeah, 80. I have what? 1 point? 1 point. Yeah. Let's try this. 9 cryo, not much. 9 cryo. $24. And that's good. And I'm going to go purchase another stabilizer. Actually, I won't purchase a stabilizer. I will save my money because I think I'm going to be able to make them cheaper soon. So here's another 20 bucks. The tea house will take Haven Edge data. And I'm over 100, thank God. $642. I like the music in this game. Oh, it's not up here. So yeah, basically what Harden was doing is he was going to sell off the eye here as scrap and basically get everybody forcibly shipped off of it. So they were going to lose their home and everything they had because he essentially worked for the company that used to own it and is like one of the last executives here so he can legally sign paperwork. And then Conway was trying to do something on the sly. So yeah, it was really sketchy as fuck, and he's a terrible person. Ship mind. You slip into the cloud. EZ is blinking. Navigator is beside you, their sphere casting light into the strange darkness here. This is not how a mainframe should look. A center, a point of connection. The object in front of you is severed, cut off, a rootless, branchless tree. Only the trunk remains. Is the killer even here? Quiet, Navigator hisses, and then you see it, like a blade in the dark. An edge slicing through the void. It glides along at a distance and winks out. Then appears again, elsewhere, gliding once more, searching. It's looking for us. The moment you make a sound, the edge leaps closer, and you see it is not an edge, but is the ridge of a long, sharp head, like a shark. Killer, the blinded erasure protocol. It glides past, closer now, and you see into the voids where its eyes should be. Eyes would be, should be. You and Navigator exchange looks, both thinking the same thing. It is blind. Killer crosses between you two, smooth as a razor, and then disappears. It flickers back in, further away now, and you move closer to Navigator to talk. You saw it too then. Killer has been blinded. How? Unclear. This protocol has been running for decades, all past its operational limit. This may give us an advantage over the protocol. You flinch as Silent Killer appears closer and glides past you, its empty sockets open wide. You turn to Navigator and notice something strange. Their Aurea spheres is collapsing. The orbits, usually round and even, are decaying. The spheres are following spiral paths, condensing on a central point. Navigator is noticing it too. They go to shift their position to better direct the spheres, but they cannot. Whatever is drawing the Ori together is holding them in place. They look at you, suddenly desperate, frantic. It's a trap. You go to speak, but Killer appears between the two of you, gliding through the gap. Navigator freezes, and you see them framed in the empty socket. You realize now, if Navigator cannot move, then it is only a matter of time before one of Killer's sweeps brings them directly through Navigator. And time is not a problem for a protocol that has been running for decades. You look desperately around for a solution, for a way to extract Navigator from the mainframe. Then you see it. 3 branches, the last 3, thin and spindly, feeding the mainframe a thin diet of power and data. Break these and the mainframe collapses once and for all. Severing the connection, shattering the hardware, whatever it takes, they must be broken. But they are encased in something, a glassy layer of protection. You need to unlock access before snapping them from the mainframe for good. You look to Navigator, trying to reassure them without speaking, and then you blink back to reality, their expression of fear and afterimage that slowly fades. You must act quickly. So you go back into the cloud. A glint like a light traveling along the edge of the wave fills your eyes. Then a blade follows, its long head with 2 dead sockets slipping towards you in silence. You freeze, hoping it will pass you by, hoping that it will not simply slice you through you like air. The blade head nears you, slides past you, almost. It nicks you, grazes you. You are desperate to cry out, to call out, but you hold your silence and simply watch the blind eyes of Killer glide past, empty of all thought. The blade winks into the dark, and you are alone again. Now you cry out. So this one will take a 4. This one will take a 5 or a 3. And this one will take a 6 or a 3. Well, I have the 6. And that's a 4, which I can't use. So we were doing these to get these keys. So I've got 2 of the 3 I need, but not the last one. Oh, not the dispensary. That's not where I want to go. Tea house. 24. Not bad. End cycle. A 6 and 2 2s. I think I needed a 3 and a 5. Three and a 5. I don't have it. And I'm not losing that 6. Let's cross the greenway. Let's look for Ashton's friend here. There should be 3 of them. All right. Reset. Another 6. Cross the rim. Gonna need a stabilizer soon. Yeah, once you get the game kind of figured out, it's pretty easy to make money. Even in just a few cycles. Rolls matter, but hey, there are the 5s I needed. Alright, let's go up here and take out the killer. Or at least progress towards taking it out. So I think there's still one more round of things I need to do. Alright, data. Unlock branch. Leave. And back to the mainframe. So we can loop the branches to isolate the mainframe with the killer inside, freeing the navigator. Or I can destroy the killer. Which, last time I did it, or when I did it privately, I did catch the killer. So I'll do this time, and we'll see what happened. As you blink into the cloud, you see the last flickers of light from the mainframe. This vast machine once ran the whole station, spanned it up, directed, and processed the flow of energy, water, and data, fed the lives of thousands of people. Now it is finally dead. Navigator is beside you, and you both watch as the branches flash and twist like forked lightning until they recede and fade. Killer flickers across the system, blindly flailing as the system breaks down. They thrash as they blink in and out around, parts of them disappearing with each return until only the blade-like head remains. Then that too is broken. It all goes dark. Erlin's eye is now without a center, and yet it is unmoved by the change. Along the rim, the master control points that Erlin, that Haven Edge, that Haifa installed, run strong and steady, puppeteering the station from its periphery. This was a long time coming, says Navigator, drifting faintly around you in a lazy orbit as if to shake off their imprisonment. Killer has been wandering blind for so long. This place was their domain and prison, and they had followed their directives for the many decades they roamed here. They cut the threads of the mainframe, executed its administrator AIs, and then kept slicing. At some point, they cut away their own ability to see, to sense, to taste, to speak, and yet they kept cutting until only those 3 threads remained from millions that once thrummed here. Only their blindness and chance kept them from making those final 3 fatal cuts. There is a ceaseless violence in the kind of system that creates beings like this. Those that will execute commands endlessly, even to their own destruction. It is good you ended it here. You watch the data points of the station spin around you, blending with the fixed stars. There's something satisfying about finally wrenching the last threads of control from this central point. It was little more than a ghost by the time you reached it, but this place deserves to be haunted by better ideas than a totalizing system of control. It is free now. The station no longer presents a hazard for illegal entities like me. In fact, in time, perhaps it can be a refuge. A refuge. That sounds like something of value, something worth building. A dark shape passes across your vision, a distant curve of something like smoke or oil, a fluid, shifting tank of total darkness. The Greenway, says Navigator. It was cut off from the moment of collapse, so hunter or killer could never reach it. Now it is closed off to us, separate from the cloud. What system is inside it? It might be totally dark, or perhaps some other old protocols are isolated there. And we have now seen what decades of isolation can do to a protocol. If we could extract an access cipher, they pause and then blink out of existence. Here, the cipher you need. Take it. Or you take it, still shocked. I am not used to being free, to being able to move and explore and extract without fear, without limits. This will take some getting used to. Thank you for this gift. The entities of this station will always be friends to you, Sleeper. And I to them. It is true that mutual need is required for friendship, but I must admit I had not considered the value of offering assistance without personal gain. I will think on that. But first I will explore. Perhaps there are still intelligences that hid themselves as I did, encased in simple systems, cut off. I should like to free them. Drive upgrade point. Obsessive Haggler. All cryo actions are discounted by 20%. And that includes stabilizers. Which is why I haven't been spending money on it. So it went from its original value of 100 down to merely 64. Dirt cheap. Love it. I'm going to take my feel good pills and wake up feeling better in the morning. Ugh. Oh, nice. I am going to buy another stabilizer too. Where's that tea house? Little bit of money. Threes is good at 4 in this situation. Makeshift apartment is done. Drive upgrade point. And now I have a cat. Stray hops out of the wood onto a work surface and looks out of the unit's small window. Doesn't acknowledge your presence, it just sits there beside the tray of crumbled crackers, staring out at the low end. What's this cat's story? Are there more on the station? You haven't seen another in the low end, but this vast megastructure in that vast megastructure it means little. There could be a whole colony of cats like this one down in the Warrens. You look at its sleek dark fur, its sharp eyes. It doesn't look ragged, it looks at home. In fact, its presence in the unit makes you wonder if this is the stray's apartment which you are squatting in. Watch them. You feel its attention on you, waiting for you to spring your trap. You remain relaxed. You watch as something flickers in its eyes, perhaps a reflection of a passing ship. The stray settles a little and starts eating, picking at the broken crackers. You don't remember ever having been this close to an animal. It triggers something in you, a recognition of life, totally unlike your own, but somehow still connected, parallel, even interwoven. The stray licks crumbs from its fur. Do you like it here? And they flick their tail at the sound of our voice. It's hard to imagine the stray liking anything, or at least being vulnerable enough to admit it. But the stray's pleasure at existing here, in this place, shines through its every sinew. It is not that the stray has always been happy on the eye, but that the stray is engaged by this place. It is alive here. You turn your eyes to the window, the one which the stray looked out of, and you both watch the stars and ships together. You feel something pass between you and the stray, a kind of acknowledgement of each other, a sense that each of you might share something with the other, a point of connection. Then all at once the stray yawns wide, hops down from the unit, and brushes along your legs. And then it's gone, out through the unit door and back out into the corridors of the low end. Are my mushrooms ready? They are. Random shrooms, including the Matsutake. Yay. Matsutake and club heads. Nice. Now we actually have a house here in the low end, so we can rest here instead of at the old thing we were doing before. Ooh, Jesus. 4 6s. I mean, if you insist, my God. Sure, let's do that. 2 rare mushrooms. I got 2 more club heads. And then, hey, drive complete upgrade point. I got 2 points. Nice. Burn another 6 on some spores. So I'm guaranteed to get 2 of them. And start another batch of mushrooms. Because they'll be ready in a couple cycles. And either of these will work. Why not use this one? Alkita. The trail extends deep into the overgrown section of the greenway. At this far end of the ring, where the long, lazy curve of the greenway becomes the shattered landscape of the wastes, things are oddly quiet. Ahead stands a vast farm stack, broken from its axis by rust or force, lying among the overgrown landscape like an ancient temple. It's stained with moss and algae, flows of green running out of its broken tanks like a frozen brackish tide. This is where Ashton is hiding, you're pretty sure. All your intuition points to the shadows beneath this collapsed superstructure. You roll the comm set Ankita gave you in your palm. So my own thing, I called her right away. What if I go alone? You survey the route ahead. There's a direct route, a line of broken pillars that takes you into the center of the structure. You can skirt around the pillars, keeping to the cover of the raised spine of the greenway, and work your way around. It'll take longer, but it's better concealed. You take the long route and head off towards the central spire. It's slow going, where the overgrowth meets the metal wall, but it's so concealed you can barely see the glass roof high above you. You follow the wall, knowing it will lead you to the edge of the collapsed stack. For the final part of the journey, you have to work your way through dense undergrowth, pushing aside branches and fronds. It is exhausting, and you stop on a small rise to rest. It's been hours since you began, and you desperately hope Ashton hasn't moved on. Just ahead, a soft glow is coming from somewhere within the farm stack. A glow of light, still on perhaps after all these years. You take a little longer to rest, then push on. You follow the faint glow of the stack. You find a broken tank, and stepping through the opening, trying to avoid broken glass that sits among the moss and algae. You work your way up the slanted tank carefully, quietly. Some more water drips, and you swear you hear birdsong. Hanging plants catch the light, coating the place in a pale and sickly green. As you reach the edge of the tank, you hear something, an echoing hiss like a hydraulic piston. You quickly move up to where the tank opens up into the central drum and look over the edge. The vast drum is like a cistern with plants growing on all sides and wet mossy islands at its base. It's beautiful, and for a moment you can't see anything but tones of green. Then you see the sleeper. In a faint circle of light descending down through the drums, the sleeper lies slumped at an odd angle. They are surrounded by crates, and beside them, on one of the mossy islands, there is an object. A cylinder set on a tarp. It is connected to Sleeper's head. You flinch. Are they one of the others? One of the ones that escaped with you? You squint, trying to recognize them. They are twisted, broken, open, wrong. You look away. Wait. You wait, unsure what to do, your eyes fixed on the broken sleeper at the center of the drum, on the connection between them and the ship mind. You think what might be passing through that connection. Thoughts, memories, or just data? You hear a sound, a quiet hiss, then soft footsteps. Below you, Ankita enters, her sidearm in hand. She must have followed the signal from the headset. Has she been spying on you? You watch her step into one of the mossy islands, the water around rippling as she does. A gunshot breaks the silence, blanking out all noise. It hits Ankita's shoulder piece, the ceramic armor cracking but holding as she braces into the impact. Then she launches herself forward, now activated armor launching her across the drum. Another shot goes wide. She reaches the cover of the crates beside the sleeper. Shit, you hear the shout from one of the tanks, high on the far wall. Ankita reaches over and wraps a hand around the thick connection between the ship mine and the sleeper. What is she doing? You better come down here or I'll rip this right out of their head, she screams at the wall of tanks. I'm telling her to stop because I don't remember what I did last time, but she yells at me to be quiet. A shot rips through the moss beside you, filling your vision with green. The shooter must be somewhere on the other side of the tank. Do that again and I swear to God I'll tear their head off. Sleeper, you stay down. It's a long pause. All you can hear is the dripping water running down the walls of the drum. Then Ashton calls out. I'm coming down, Ankita. Don't do anything stupid, for God's sake. Disgraced mercenary, Ashton. So he's there with the sleeper. Or this other sleeper. Feeding them into the ship mind. Drop the gun. He throws it down to the moss. As you lean over to watch, you see him catch your eye, clocking your presence. What are you up to here, Ashton, you sicko? You ripped up my ship mind for what? Some freakish experiment? Steady, Ankita. It isn't like that. They needed the ship mind. You have to understand. They would have died without it. What are you talking about? I don't give a shit about why you ripped my ship mind and crippled my ship. I should put you down right now. Typical of you, Ankita. No curiosity. That's why I never ask for it, for your help. You only look after yourself. That sleeper up there, they are just bait, right? To draw me out? You're trying to give me more reasons to shoot you? I love them, Ankita. I love them and they were going to die. I knew you would never understand that. That's closing the gap between himself and Ankita now, slowly inching forward. Don't do that, Ashton. Don't do that. Let the wires go, Ankita. Let us go. If you don't get out of my way. Please. I can't let you take it, Ashton. You stole it from me. You left me for dead. You think I'm going to trust you after all that? I need it, Ankita. I need them to survive. I'm going to take them now, Ankita. I'm going to take the ship mind and go. She loosens her grip on the connection a little. Stop, Ashton. She lowers the gun a little. Stop. Seeing her drop her guard, he makes his move. A blur of movement, a struggle, a shot, another and another. You recoil back behind the edge as they ricochet around the inside of the drum, the sound deafening you. You crawl back to the edge. Ashton is bleeding into the water, the red and the green. Ankita is standing at the center of the drum, the severed connection in her hand. The water drips endlessly, drip after drip after drip. You force yourself to look at the broken sleeper. There's no sign of life, of humanity. There's just another broken object among other broken objects, while all around living things grow and thrive. Ankita finally looks back up at you, tears in her eyes. She begins to say something that might be sorry, but you are already gone. So yeah, that was his whole thing. He stole her ship mine to save a sleeper. Possibly one of the ones that escaped with us. Feed the cat. Buy some rations. I think I need the commune more than I need much about anything else right now. So this should be a triple, and then I can generate another triple. And that'll get me in here. And give me a place to sleep. She wants what? 2 cycles? 2 cycles. Rico, commune botanist. You head into the Haifa compound, following the blue-painted line that is labeled laboratories. The member you were assigned to work with told you they'd asked to see you, but you still have no idea what about. The line takes you to a blue door and through a glass roof chamber where a network of stems and leaves filters the sunlight coming through the ceiling, casting the whole chamber in a strange yellow-green. Peaceful, isn't it? Welcome to my sanctuary. Come, let's talk. Who are you? Of course, my apologies. I'm Rico. I run the botany program at Haifa. Botany program? Yes, the plants in the greenway are vital to Haifa's continued existence. It's important to understand them. Haifa lives with the land in the greenway. It is what allows us to live like we do. No one here pays or is paid. We sleep here, we feed each other, we work for each other. All this is kind of a miracle. What do you think usually happens to plants on stations like this when they're abandoned? They die? Eventually, yes, they cannot live without intervention. But here they endured. Actually, no, they thrived. You look at the bright tendrils wrapping around the metal frames of the corridor. They looked dominant, strong, like they were taking control of this place. Of course, Solheim tried to create a stable biosphere here, patchworking the surface with gardens and algae tanks that feed into networks of microbial reclamation systems. But the Greenway was always envisioned as an extractive, a place in which the harvest is removed and sold to those living on the station, not a closed loop. For this reason, when the collapse came, the Greenway should have been gone with it. Erland himself was so convinced of it that his first colony never even came here to try and reclaim it. The Eye instead relied on outside favors and influences, shipments from the inner system, and small-scale agriculture systems like kelp and fungal farm stacks. And yet here we are, among growth and decay, a biosphere flourishing. When Haifa came here, we expected to only find vacuum-dried stalks and leaves, perhaps some fungal colonies hidden in the mulch, but we found a jungle. How? That's exactly our question. It doesn't make sense, but in many ways the system is stabilized. Unlike the farm stacks closer to the gap, who need input to support their meager output, this place runs itself. Perhaps Solheim managed something new here. Perhaps they tweaked the plants or built new systems buried deep below us. Or perhaps their collapse caused some fortunate cascade, an unlikely chemical reaction within the biosphere. That's what I'd like you to help me find out. Me? Yes, you. These halls run deep, Sleeper, and I'm getting old. Whatever's causing this, it has to be found in the groves deep in the Greenway. Haifa won't spare anyone for an expedition. It's too dangerous. And unnecessary, they say. I can make the case, but I can't get the votes. You sleepers are hardy beings. I know that much. And you can speak to the Eye, uncover its secrets in ways I never can. Bring me sample spores, seeds, and blooms. I can grow them in the lab and study them. The deeper they are, the deeper they're found, the better. I'll try. Thank you, and thank you for listening. It's good to have new blood in the commune. Many of us have been here a long time, and few come through. Come back if you find something, Sleeper. There are discoveries to be made. So she wants spores, which I don't have any on me currently. It should give me the last spore that I need, or I can get a double. Doubles are good. Sleeper, I have some of yours here. Come see. What does it say? The spores you have here are a real cocktail, a selection of types from within the grove. I've been able to isolate a few. Here we have the tricholoma, tri, tricholoma matsutake, a species of Solheim somewhat modified for use in the station. She brings up a panel on her console showing a chemical composition, all gradient bars, and obtuse acronyms. This is the composition of the Solheim modified matsutake spores. Okay, and not entirely no, but I think you understand this. Brings up another panel, identical in layout, but wildly different colors and numbers. You see, this is what your matsutake spores look like. They aren't the same? That's the conclusion, yes. They are fundamentally the same spores, but they carry different chemicals, different signals. Sondheim may introduce their tweaked versions in the beginning, but the groves have and still are affecting them. Affecting them how? So to tell without samples of fully grown mushrooms, and herein lies our problem. Here's another desk where two trays sit side by side. The first contains nothing but plant mulch. The second you smell before you even look at it. The pungent aroma of fruity matsutake like rotting sodden overalls, laced with an edge of spice. The matsutake here are grown from Sondheim's stalks, pulled from a spore vault in this complex. They're delicious, by the way. The empty tray is germinating with spores you collected. No activity, no germination, nothing. But the groves are full. Yes, they are. So here's our puzzle, Sleeper. Spores from the grove won't grow in the lab. But gathering fruiting bodies from the groves is too unpredictable. We need to grow a fruiting body from some of these spores so we can track it, understand it. In short, we need you to become my mushroom farmer. Yep, it's already started. Well, an eager mycologist. I never would have guessed. I assume you set yourself up in the aviary? I've been eyeing that place up for its proximity to the groves. Bring whatever grows, not just matsutake. There's more than a couple of variants there, so you'll need plenty of samples. These little things are reflections of their conditions, their smell, their taste, their chemistry. It all derives from the conditions of their growth. Enough of these and we'll have a picture of what's happening here, of the ways in which this biosphere is modifying itself or being modified, whatever the case may be. And don't worry, Sleeper. If this turns out to be a dead end, I'll make sure that not a single mushroom goes to waste. Ow, so I just need to get her a bunch of samples. And if she wants griot caps... Oh, this is a terrible way to use my points and energy. I'm most of the way there. Alright, cross into the rim. Some breakfast food for the kitty. I'm up to for points now. Ooh, I have 3. Nice. What's this one here? This is engage. You know what? I would like my engage to be better. 3 points. A +2. 100% chance of success. Actually, heck, 100% chance of perfect success. Endure. Buy scrap. Ah, mushrooms. Ephes is preparing the Matsutake caps. He cleans them carefully with a damp cloth before shaving the stalks as if he was sharpening a pencil. His knife slides through them, revealing the bright white of the flesh within. These are good, Sleeper, very good. I bartered with Ming-Yi for some kelp too, so we can brew the dashi. A soup base, very good. He slides the sliced shiitake mushrooms to one side and takes out a closed pan. He opens the lid and you can see green water of kelp sitting in the green wafer of kelp sitting in a bath of water, but soaking it since last cycle. Should be good to warm now. We have some time now. He wipes his hands clean and throws the cloth over his shoulder. However, there is a difference this cycle. You've been providing the one ingredient, so it's my turn to provide a story. Okay. Good, this story is important to me. He gestures for you both to sit on the folding stools before the stall. You see these? Emphas runs a hand over his forearm, tracing the circular scars that mark them like perfect bite marks. Conway called it an anchored interface rig, a mechanical control device for piloting a heavy-duty extraction suit in low-G industrial operations. We call it a bone suit. He points to the pattern of larger circles on his shoulders. They drill in an anchor here, and then all the way down to the arm. It maps mechanical movements to the suit exactly, one-to-one mechanical replication. You swing your arm, a 2-ton arm swings too. You should have seen the recruitment videos. Strong people in even stronger suits, tearing through stone and scrap. Superheroes. Half my graduating year signed up. From company school to company shuttle. Conway from birth to death. He stares off into the distance for a moment, fighting with the memories. But the bone suits weren't good. The rate of failures was high, and failure meant arms torn off, anchors torn out, broken bones, bad stuff. So after a while, Conway discontinued them. No longer competitive, they said. He checks the broth, turning down the heat and adding the mushrooms. So there we were, hundreds of us with surgical alterations for suits that didn't work. They sent us home, back to that company colony that spat us out, to be cleaners, drivers, cooks. They gave us drugs for the pain and told us to make something of ourselves. When I deserted, bribing some passing spacers to take me into orbit, there were only me and a couple others left. The rest just faded away. Arthritis, osteoporosis. They folded in on themselves like paper lanterns. That was my generation. The anchor points still ache, still burn. What burns worse is the betrayal. I've been on the eye a long time now, but that'll never fade. Not that, not the faces of my friends. It's ready. I'm sorry. Don't be. It was Conway's crime, and you know better than most what we went through. It's enough that you were here to listen. He pours the broth into double-walled metal bowls and hands it to you. The heat radiates through your hands, and the smell drifts up, rich and sharp, like a pine forest after the rain. You drink the broth slowly, chewing the matsutake and thinking. Ephes busies himself with cleaning the pans and bowl, sealing the kelp back up for another day. Then he comes over to sit while you finish the meal. Neither of you speak, preferring instead to let the story linger in the air a little longer. It's not that there's nothing to say, it's that sometimes, in the moments after something, speaking breaks the spell. So you both idle, eat or be in each other's company. Ephes is taking longer over his cleaning, his packing, and you savoring the final dregs of broth. When you finally finish and hand him the bowl, you feel the spell break and the story leaves you both. As you leave, you know that both of you are somehow a little more empty and a little more full than before. Upgrade point. And that's it for him. So, another level. Did I ever talk to Ankita? Is she ready to talk to me? No, not yet. But I can sleep in the dorms out here. Five, 4, 3, 3. Not bad. You spot Ankita on the track of the farm stack. She has a box on her shoulders and is working her way down the slope. She sees you as she approaches. Neither of you speak for a moment. She looks tired, pale, and her hair is tangled in clumps of dirt clinging to her armor. You both eye each other. Ankita? Sleeper, I'm sorry for what happened. I truly am. I'm sorry you ended up in the middle of this when all you've shown me is kindness. I'm sorry. It's okay. I've never. Thank you. I've been preparing for. Look, can you come with me? It's easier if. Lead on. She leads down the dirt path between the pillars. There's wind passing through the greenway, a quirk of the air currents the biosphere maintains, and it ruffles the leaves softly. The sound makes the silence more obvious, more complete. You try not to think of the last time you were here. You've been trying not to think of it for the past few cycles. The image of the sleeper, sprawled, twisted open, connected to the ship mind, has been hard to forget. You realize Ankita is leading you back there, back to the drum at the center of the stack. You pause, trembling a little bit at the threshold. She turns. What are you doing? What needs to be done? You stand on the threshold and look up at the tanks, green and wet, some glowing with flickering glow lamps. You look down at Ankita, suddenly small under this hulking ruin, the smallest she's ever looked. She places the box down. Follow her in. You follow her into the stack through the low tank, entering the drum at ground level. It's just as beautiful as you remember, but barely touches you. Instead, you check the apertures of the tank for a glint of a weapon, or a shadow among the moss. She stops, and you look down. The mossy island at the center of the tank is clear now, the equipment cleared away. In its place is a mound of dirt, loosely covered with moss. Ashton's rifle stands straight, half buried in the dirt at the grave's head. I buried them together, Ankita says, without turning. You both stand there in silence for a little while. I think last time I asked how long she knew him, but I'll ask about the sleeper this time. Is the sleeper dead? She takes a moment to respond, and for the moment you think she won't, and then the words come gushing out. Their body was long dead, that much was obvious. After you left, I checked them, but there was nothing, no signal, no function. The ship mind was the same. Dead. I don't know if Ashton's plan would have worked. He seemed desperate, but that doesn't mean it wasn't. I don't think he was lying, but you have to understand. I've had crew members double-cross me, undercut me, rat me out. That's the business. He wasn't a good person. None of us in this job are. And this is how we die, alone. I'm sorry they had to die too. She stops, not sure what to add. Seems like she's reaching for something, but she can't quite get there. You feel the gap between you two, and as you do, it widens. The water drips, the moss trembles. You both stand in silence for a little while longer. You both feel it, life creeping back in, the silence ending. Ankita shifts her weight and starts to walk out. You follow her, suddenly eager to be back out in the open space of the greenway, to be away from this place forever. You stand outside and breathe the fresh air. You stare at the green leaves and the stars wheeling above them. That's it. You try to think of something you can say, but can't. Ankita puts a hand on your shoulder. At least take this. She forces a handful of cryo chits in your hand. It's what I owe you. She looks at you desperately. You look down at the metal bars. Ugly little things, you think. So last time I took the chits, I don't really need them now? It's nice, because it is 200 cryo, is what she promises. I'm going to turn her down, because I want to see what happens. You open your hand and let the chits fall to the floor. They clink into the dirt, and she does not pick them up. You turn without saying a word and continue up the track. She does not follow. As you walk up the rise, the wind picks up and leaves you shudder. And the leaves shudder. You walk faster, trying to outpace your anger. You think of those ugly little metal bars in the dirt. A life has to be worth more than that. It has to be. Another point. So there's really no benefit for it. It just is a thing. Alright, I got Griot caps. Alright. Why is this a dangerous job? Try it, but it's not great. Oh, good. Damage my condition. You mistake one cap for another in wheels and it burns your mouth when you taste it. Okay, it's a bunch of energy, but it's not a mushroom cap. And the cycle. Hey, I got a 6. Good. A 5, I could roll up to a 6. Hi, Labs. Leave. Come back. Welcome to Sleeper. I'd like to tell you a story. When people first crossed what we call the Founder's Gap into the Greenway, they did so against the wishes of Andre Erlin. At the time, Erlin was trying to stabilize the Union and establish control over the Eye in the wake of Solheim's collapse. It was chaos, completing factions, failing systems, so many dead and injured from the riots. That was his priority. Erlin had written the Greenway off, cut off from the rest of the station, and linked to a broken spoke. He claimed it was only a matter of time before everything here would die. He refused to let anybody abandon their duty to the Union and cross. They were traitors to the cause, or as good as. There weren't many of us, but we believed what was here was worth saving. We had to keep our plans secret until we crossed, and some of us left people behind. What we found was a disaster, nothing like what you see here. Half the Greenway was leaking oxygen into space, the plants flash frozen. The other half was a swamp of mulch as decaying matter clogged every system. We worked hard, lost good people, we cleaned up and closed up, but it was never going to be enough. After many cycles, we knew this place was doomed, but we kept on working, talking less and less because we couldn't face it. We all developed a death wish. If the Grandmother was going to die, so would we. But it didn't die. It did not. We crossed some invisible boundary, tipped some biological scale, and the Greenway started to recover. Plants flowered, crops sprouted. For the first time, we reaped the fruits of our labor. We thought it was us, that we managed to do just enough to end the cycle of decay. We thought we saved the Greenway, until today. You passed into the grow beds of the commune, rich with the hustle and bustle of hyphen members planting and harvesting. For a while, Rico was quiet, and you both simply observed the hypnotic pattern movements of the work crews, the eager chatter washing over you like a wave. Rico smiles to herself. I should have known, of course, that our arrogance was unfounded, but we needed to believe back then. We needed a myth to bring more people across the gap. What you have shown me is that back then, the Greenway saved us, not the other way around. Tell me, have you ever consumed one of the matsutake or griot caps you've been growing? Yeah. I imagine they were delicious, nutritious, almost uniquely so. After all, they were designed for you. At first, I thought that was the location they were growing that made the mushrooms from the aviary, from the labs, or from the grove different from each other. What I've come to understand is that it is the person growing them. The matsutake and griot crops you brought me are totally unique, containing compounds that never usually found in similar species in my possession. Many of these compounds aren't even digestible for humans, but for a sleeper like you. She smiles as she leads you to the internal garden of the commune, where hyphen members have planted species from all over the Greenway. Back when the tide turned, when the Greenway started to recover, we all felt something. A response. It was as if this place was not just alive, as a forest is alive, but alive in other ways. Communicative. Responsive. We shrugged it off at the time, but now I understand why. This place is responding to us, adapting itself to us. It is growing fruiting bodies for you, for me. It is adapting, changing. It is, in short, displaying all the signs of sentience. The Greenway is sentient. Perhaps not the Greenway, but the ecosystem itself, or something within it. When you've been growing the griots and the matsutakes in the aviary, those species so similar to the Greenway, have you discovered any others? Yeah, I have. I'd like to see those. Please bring me some next time you're here. There's a species of mushrooms that I haven't seen in years. It's dark, short, shaped like a club. We first found it in those early days when we were working to save this place. was around the time we first started to lose our. It was around that time that we first started to lose our members. They were succumbing to some infection, some mold deep in the dark mulch that drowned this place. At that point, we thought we were lost, and then these mushrooms emerged from that same black mold. We tested them and saw that they were contained some compounds that counteracted the mold. They contained an antidote. Of course, as a botanist, I saw this as part of the natural process of the ecosystem, even if the timescale seemed absurdly short. But I'm wondering is if that antidote was a gift. Perhaps you are a patient. You will receive your gift too, Sleeper. Go sit for a while, Rico seemingly done telling stories for today. You watch the light playing off the leaves and plants around you and wonder what forces could be at play in this place. After a while, you stand and leave, with a quiet nod to Rico, leaving her to her memories. So we need 3 club heads, which I have. Rico's at her bench running small vials of some liquid through an old chemical analysis machine. The whirring of the spinning drum fills the lab with white noise, and you aren't sure if she notices you approach. Sleeper, it's good to see you. This little project of ours has been keeping me awake the past few cycles, but right now, well, I think I might have something. What is it? This is something I extracted from those club heads you've been bringing me. And according to my analysis, it is a substance totally unique on the Greenway. You look at the small amount of liquid in the vial. Any idea what it might be? She asked without looking away from the vial. It's stabilizer, isn't it? You aren't the first sleeper to come through here. Perhaps I should have mentioned that earlier. I just wanted you to trust us. What do you mean? They came through a fair few cycles ago. We found them wandering in the broken section near the gap. The members who brought them in had never seen one of you before. They were terrified of this strange person wandering in from open vacuum. They were quieter than you and damaged. We did our best to patch them up and welcome them into our commune. I only really spoke to them once, and while I was working on their wounds, along with a couple of other system engineers. I'd never seen a body like that before. I took some readings, some samples, and next cycle they were gone. They took a little food and hiked up towards the wild margins where the greenway meets the wastes. Someone saw them in the distance, but that was it. They disappeared into the overgrowth. When I saw you, I wanted things to be different. I wanted to keep you here rather than let you disappear into wherever they ended up. Yes, I wanted to understand this place better, but I also wanted to help you. It seems that somehow both my wishes have come true at once. She holds out a hand with the vial. This is for you. You take the stabilizer, the glass cold and smooth in your palm. Thank you. Don't thank me. Those clubhead caps made it for you, or at least who or whatever made those clubheads. It was right there, contained in their tissue. I only had to extract it. I imagine you understand how incredible that is. I learned enough from that sleeper to know your body, your frame is it, runs on some exotic technology that has some built-in time limit. Somehow the Greenway knows that too. It understands your physiology better than I ever could. It knows how to treat you. Just like that miraculous antidote that sprung from the mold, so too has this sprung from your presence here. The Greenway is speaking to you. It is welcoming you. I know it sounds crazy, but I know it to be true. Here's the evidence. And what I also know is that it no longer is speaking to me. Even after decades here, I've never seen this kind of response. Not since the antidote so many cycles ago. So I'm going to make a deal with you. You bring me as many club heads as you can. I'll extract the stabilizer and give it to you, freely. But you have to tell me what the Greenway says. You have to speak with it, to dig into it and find out what being is at the center of it. I've traveled as far as I can. I need you to do the rest. Can you do that? Yeah. Thank you. I'm sorry for the other sleeper, I truly am. I'm sorry I couldn't have done more, but I'm so glad I met you. You're welcome here anytime. Upgrade point. So I've got 3 and I can get another +2. And now I'm finally going to shift to my eye here. Greenway Gate, Greenway Cipher. Continue. The Greenway roils beneath you like a silt-choked river. If what Navigator said was true, then no one has accessed these networks since the collapse. The hunter and killer protocols have never set foot here, never cleared out the intelligences and systems. So then you wonder, why does it look so dark? Is it just that the bit rot has set in, the entropy of systems reducing everything to shadows and light? You watch as the slotted cipher fizzles into one open distorted gateway on this entire rim. In the one open distorted gateway, it flickers and winks out, and then you are falling into the flow. A river of swirling darkness. You are spun by it, twisted by it, lost in it. It's not that the Greenway was hiding the darkness. It's made of darkness. It's filled by the substance, this process, this swarm. Now you are among it, and you notice the swarm is exactly what it is. 1 billion individuals moving in a flow. There's no network map here, no nodes, no threads, only a storm of interchangeable points, shifting configuration endlessly. And then you see them. A figure turned away, the only bright spot in the dark river. You push closer through the storm. They are facing away, at least you think so. They are so fractured, so overgrown that it's hard to tell. Even from the distance, you can see their flesh is moving, flowing. The gardener, ingrown farm administrator. You watch silently as they stoop and reach down. Their hand is a dark shape, and with twisted fingers they press it down into the loam of data beneath them, pushing it through the trembling soil. Then they move away a little further and repeat the process, as if they were sowing a field. You push forward, but somehow, despite their slow and deliberate speed, they move faster, and they quickly fade from the storm. You reach the point where they planted the object and look down. There it is, a glassy, shifting polygon with something inside. You reach down and pick it up. It's cold, but it thrums with energy. You look towards the path of the figure, but they are long gone. When you blink out of the cloud back to the leaves and the dappled light of the Greenway, you hold a seed in your hand. The only way to understand what the gardener gave you is to grow it. Rico is incredibly excited by the prospect. I'll take care of it, Sleeper. Don't you worry. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cycles. Trying to keep an eye on our time, but this is a game that really makes it easy to lose track of time and lose track quickly. Yonik's ward is engage, which is nice. And this is interface. I'm kind of near the end now, so it's not as useful to have these +2s. Unfortunately, this sort of build path really doesn't help much when you kind of fill out everything evenly. It really helps to have like one thing that you're extremely good at, but it's nice in its own way. I guess how many options do I have left? I've entered the Greenway, planting the seed. I have exposing Yannick, the flotilla. I have Bliss, and the sidereal horizon, which is this. I'm gonna take the Intuit. I think that'll be a little bit more useful at the moment. Tala, who I didn't speak to much before. Riel slides from the bottle onto the lumpy recycled glass, a pale grassy yellow under the overlooks warm lights. The spacer nods and takes a drink, bringing it up to their face in both hands like an offering bowl. This is the good stuff. The stuff Tala says is aged in wooden casks stored in some closed-off part of the old station among corroded wires and softly looping systems. But it's sometimes hard to tell if Tala's joking. Either way, you like pouring this stuff. It gets on your fingers and you rub them together. You can smell the mossy drink, cut with aniseed, mushroom, and wood as the alcohol evaporates. Like those who order it too, the aged grill is kept beneath the bar, open to order only to those who know it's there, like the quiet spaces sitting in the bar right now. Pull a rag from your overalls and wipe down the bar, the grill smell lifting and then disappearing into the stale station air. The overlook is quiet this cycle, salvagers busy offloading, the regulars likely at the Ort Exchange or queuing for work at the Havenhead shipyards. You are in the right mood for a quiet shift. The cycles drag on, the overlook empty and claustrophobic. But this one has caught you just right. In this moment, some kind of calm has ascended as you tinker away at the bar, lining up the bottles as your thoughts expand to fill the space. Suddenly you hear a heavy clunking at the door. It opens and a huge cylindrical metal object tumbles through, slamming onto the floor. Shit, Tala breezes from behind, a whirl of hair and bright eyes. Shit, shit, shit. Sleeper, can you help me with this? She looks at the huge metal tank suspiciously. Yeah. Okay, on my count. 1, 2, 3. You both heave the tank to standing, somehow. You hold it in place, struggling to keep it steady. Where's this going? In the back, comes a voice from behind the tank. Somehow you manage to lug the huge thing in the back room. You place it in one corner, dwarfing the rest of the contents of the cramped space. As you do, you hear a crunch. You stand back and look at the expired rations oozing out from the top of the tank. Oh, shit. I know you liked those. That's okay. You push the crushed rations to one side. That's the end of that. Tala looks exhausted and rubs her shoulders. Francis, I swear to... Something up? Yeah, we're supposed to be back from Etienne's up in the Greenway by now, back with our griot. It seems like he's got lost again, or at least joined Haifa Commune. We need that griot. There's 4 other bars near here, and the spacers sure as hell don't come to the overlook for the ambiance. She looks through the open door to check if anyone can hear her. So I'm taking matters in my own hand. Welcome, Sleeper, to the Overlook Distillery. Look around the back room. Needs a bit of work. Picks up some paint flanking from the metal walls. Well, I might need some help, though. You up for it? Could be fun. Yeah, sure. Okay, I'm excited. I reckon we chop this thing in half. One half for fermentation, the other half we turn into a still. We'll still need to gather the ingredients. You look more like a chopper than a gatherer. So how about you build the still and tub while I work on the rest? Okay, Sleeper, I have an idea. To make up for the rations, how about we put a kitchen in here, too? A kitchen? I always wanted to serve food. This is going to be great, she says to herself. You look at the dented tank and the bare room. At least she has vision. Tala nudges you out of the back room and closes the door. As you go back to the bar, you can hear the banging and thumping begin. The spacer finishes their drink and nods in your direction as they leave. You can't quite tell if it's a gesture of sympathy or good luck. So much for a quiet shift. Drive. So I got bar shift, engineering. No, I should have done engineering. Hmm. Ah, 6. Nice. Okay, so I got a couple things I can work on. Let's finish the Yonic thing. Get some skill points from that. Alright, continue. You almost laugh when you see it. The same small recorder stuck to a different wall this time. Written across the fluorescent tape is a similar word. Sleeper. You grab it quickly. Rabia says sorry. She said she didn't have time to brief you before setting you up with the old man. I'm sure you've got the plan by now. Earn his trust, work the block, then we need you to get into his office. It's risky, but obviously you're the only one of us he doesn't already know. Either way, we need you to locate the link to SNARP. Rabia says be careful. The data suggests there's some relay processing the implant data and sending it to SNR, but we can't lock down its location. Either he's moving it, or it's moving itself, or is rerouting through other relays. We can't understand it. Maybe you can find some details on it in his office. Once he trusts you, you should be able to get close enough to get in the office. You only get one shot. That's the final piece of the puzzle to end this. Good luck, Sleeper. I'm sorry too. Be safe. +2, but you can fail. It is a critical action. And I made it worse. So I will start up another cycle. Remember to feed the cat. And then with my 3 additional rolls, I will use one of them. Pull this over on Yannick. Well, that's frustrating. I have the 6 that I don't want to use because it's so good. And then a 1 and a 2, which are going to not help me because reasons. All right. Distillery. There we go. There's a nice 4. %100% positive success rate. Don't screw this up. Critical action, positive result. You look at the countermeasures in the drawer. It looks like some kind of shock trap. If you'd grab the drawer, you'd likely have 1,000 volts running through your system right now. You wince. Once you find the anchor points, it comes away easily enough. You prise it from the drawer quickly and quietly, and then listen to the footsteps in the corridor outside. Nothing, all clear for now. You slide the drawer open, looking for other countermeasures that might be inside, expecting to see a chunk of tech, the relay. But as you slip it open, all you see is a handful of wires and an empty implant cradle. Is this some kind of mistake? You freeze for a moment, unsure what to do next. Why keep an implant cradle so carefully guarded? You remember Yannick having an implant, a small plate on the side of his head, just above his ear. You assumed it was for hearing or vision. Those shimmering glasses of his come back to you in memory, his strange movements, his speech. You look again at the cradle, and there it is, printed on the frame. Proprietary technology, property of SNARP. Rabia said the relay moved. What if they couldn't get a fix on it? What if Yannick was the relay? Thought hits you like a shock. Yannick with a remote relay implanted in his head, networked to every single implanted enforcer in the low end. A shudder runs through you. Is he even in control, or has SNARP wormed its way into the man? Could he even be considered separate from the corporation itself? You think of your own legal status as proprietary technology, a puppet with cut strings. Time to cut Yannick's strings, then. You reach around inside the cradle and find it. A remote connection, a tiny bead of a transmitter, likely controlling the link to SNARP. There it is. You pause for a moment, then you squeeze it, snap it from the frame, and it crumbles, sparks, and dies. It takes a moment before the shouts come, before the scream, and you are already on your way out, down the corridor, down through the unit that serves as a lobby to Yannick's office. Then out into the walkway where Yannick lies still, enforcers gathering around him, bemused. Approach. You push through the crowd, and there he is, still, crumbled. You arrange him a little, lie him down properly, feeling how thin his body is under his suit. You wonder how long he's been like this, a puppet for SNARP. With the connection cut, nothing remains but his body, which means that Yannick the man was gone a long time before now. You place a hand on his chest. You're sorry for him, but it's done now. And you did not kill this man. You've seen enough. The connection's cut, and whatever Yannick was, or had become, is gone. Your anger is a hard core in your chest, and all of it is focused on SNARP. So yeah, that was the spy in Yatagan. Literally, the dude was a dead man being puppeted by the same company that did stuff to us, which is a little nuts. Uh, 223. My mushrooms are done. No, they're not done. Because I never started germinating them. Curses. Alright, that's at least a 5. That's more spores. And this becomes a 6. And since I don't want to do this again for a little while, there we go. I got 6 batches of spores. Which means I can start germinating this thing this time, and then I have enough to spare for the next time it runs out. Which is what I should have done previously. And cycle. And it's a 5, a 4, and a 1. I'm going to take a stabilizer now. How many skill points I got? None right now. And reroll the 1 because there's no reason not to. Good, making good progress. All right, and the cycle. Okay, still's done. Tala stands back from the newly furnished still and tub, hands on hips. Look at this. The Overlook Distillery in all its glory. Thank you. How's sourcing ingredients going? I got most of it covered between food factories on low end and farm stacks in the Greenway. However, there's an issue. What's the problem? Well, Grill the drink, as you probably guess, is named after Grill the mushroom. That's what gives it that golden color and earthy taste. The alcohol is infused with the mushroom along with a mix of spices. But that means you need grill caps to make grill, and no one wants to supply us. The distilleries in the Greenway are taking all the stock from the farms out there, and it's hard to get a single cap across the Founders Gap. However, I have an idea. We can grow our own grill caps. He gestures at the increasingly equipment-filled back room. You sure? Totally sure. I mean, we made a still. We set all this up. How hard can it be to grow mushrooms? They don't need to be light. They don't need light. They barely need soil. We can do this. Or at least we could if we had something to grow them from. Like spores, huh? Exactly. And you are the perfect person to get me those spores. Think about it. You built the still. You're great with plants. You know the eye like the back of your hand. Need I go on? Are you flattering me? If it's working, then yes. Like, I can't leave the bar and the other people are picking up shifts. I'm saying it has to be you. It's fine. Wonderful. You'll love it over in the Greenway, I think. All that fresh air, that open space. Look, I'm done. I'm done. She turns back to look at the fledgling distillery forming around it. It's really something, though, isn't it? Well, there goes my extra spores that I had that I was so proud of getting. Funny thing is, I have Griot right on me. I could just give her some. How many cycles? 6 cycles. Jeez. I kind of wish I'd taken that money now because I could use it. Win a sidereal ticket, improve the overlook, Bliss, Flotilla, Yannick, and Greenway. Starting to run out of quests. Guess I'll go get some more spores now. There's my backup set of spores again. Commune, dorm. This is stabilizer. The wastes can gather scrap, but that requires endurance, which I have not leveled up. And there's that stuff at the end, which they said was endgame content. Might finally be time to start making some money. Why is it that the Yatagan are always the ones who'll take a 1 on a die roll? Might as well use the scrap to repair myself. It'll keep me from using a stabilizer. Oh, 4 6s. Blessed be. And Rabia. Even before you enter the office, you hear the sound of Rabia working the heavy bag. She's hammering it, the chain creaking as it shakes with each hit. She's been like this since... She doesn't even finish the sentence. They're sitting on a stool, looking at the terminal in the corner, searching through the SNRP data you pulled cycles ago. How have you been? Well, Sleeper, happy to no longer be hunted. Yadigan has plenty to deal with, and without Yannick, I'm free. Rabia stops punching, and in the silence you can hear her breathing hard. Sabine looks over at her, and you can sense something between them, and you realize you haven't seen them together since they tried to kill each other at this same unit. A lot's changed since then. They hooked him up like a puppet, ready that thing in his head so they could control him. Pushed the old Yannick out. I don't know why I let them in. But it's a lesson. Don't let them in. Yatagan shouldn't deal with corporations, and we never will again. At least Yannick's death has been treated as natural. There's a chance we can come back from this, that Yatagan can hold on, but there are opportunists trying to take control. Yes, but now the connection has been broken. I've been looking at removing the trackers from the implants in the Yatagan enforcers. It's a significant job, but I think with time I can do the surgeries. Those surgeries will never happen if Yatagan collapses, she shouts back at Sabine. Clearly this is a well-worn argument in this unit. So what now for you? I want to help fix this mess if I can. There's the implants, and I want to return to my surgery. The low end needs doctors. What I understand now is that Yatagan can be something if we want it to be. Coming here from SNARP, from the core worlds, all I saw was a gang. And with Yannick keeping me on a tight leash, Rabia believes, and I want that belief. I also want to be done with SNARP, but I doubt they are done with me. They glance away, rubbing their shoulders. Are you and Rabia? She fixes you with a look. Yes, Sleeper, isn't that obvious? I'm meaning to say, I'm sorry I didn't tell you where I came from. I know I've apologized before, but I want to again. Properly. When I leaked the data on the Sleeper program, it was to try and help people like you. But after all the cycles here, being pushed down, pushed around, trying to survive, all that got away from me. So when you turned up, it shook me up. But I ended up here, so... Oh, of course. Reaches in their pocket and takes out a handful of vials. These are the last of the case. You can have them. They drop them into your palm. After these last few, I don't know what we can do. With the SNR connection broken... But I know there are other ways, repairs, other pharmaceuticals. I even heard there are some labs out in the Greenway. Perhaps they can help. I'm sorry I can't do more. Thank you for everything. They look away, their eyes bright with tears. Rabia crosses back to you both and sits beside Sabine. They look at each other, and you can't help but smile at the idea of them together. What are you two plotting? Rabia grins. Sabine laughs, and the sound is a welcome one. You watch the two of them teasing each other and smile. Later, when you leave, you take that handful of vials out of your pocket and look at them. You can still feel that core of anger deep down inside. And you don't know if it'll ever leave. But SNRP doesn't own you anymore. They can't because these people own you. They are what makes you get up every cycle, and they are what keeps you breathing. You put the vials away and walk through the low end, your senses tuned to every sight, every smell, every sound, soaking it all in, living. Upgrade point. But no more stabilizer. We can't buy it. We got the last of it for free. We also can't do anything else with Yatagan. That's kind of the end of the quest in low end. They're currently processing the still. So that's not done. That's not done. So yeah, the only things I really have left are the genuinely interesting things of like, what happens if I try and steal from this place too many times? Is it? That's not this one. It's the other one. Where literally, with so many shipments, what's one diverted package? You have no idea what you're stealing, but that's part of the fun, right? Could be good, could be really bad. I don't know. Could be a new character. Could be more content. But I don't know. I'm going to spend my rolls out here, but I am sitting here very cozy with 4 stabilizers and a bunch of money, or I will in a little bit. And I'm going to I have the ability to create my own stabilizer now. Essentially for free. It just takes a little bit of time. Reroll and... So yeah, I have 124 credit now. But I think that might be where we sign off for the day, because it is a little bit past my normal time. But let's see if there's someone around to raid. Ah. I know who we can raid. Proxy's playing right now, and I think it's his birthday, maybe? Is it Proxy birthday? I'm going to check that quick. Birthday, yeah, we're raiding Proxy. All right, everybody. This is a nice Glorb here. He is a good boy. He is playing some Zelda. And we're going to treat him nice. So, I am going to work on the schedule for next week. I'm not sure if Rad and I have anything planned on Tuesday. We are notoriously bad at planning this stuff in advance. I think probably if we don't, I'll probably play Citizen Sleeper that day and finish it off. Barring that, because I know there's at least probably another stream's worth of content out of it. Barring that, I'm gonna have to find something new to play next weekend, but we'll see. But for everybody that joined me as I played through this game, thank you very much. This game is one of those that flies by for me and time just slips away. It is a very good game. I strongly recommend it. It's great. It's amazing. If you had a good time watching my streams, I do upload a bunch of stuff onto YouTube. Let me type this out here. So you can find the link here. I do need to make some more clips for that soon, though, because I think I'm running out of the big stockpile of stuff I made a while back. But I also have a Discord that I have set up. So if you want to jump in, chat, interact, it's a growing community. It's still a little bit small and cozy now. But you can find my schedule there. You can find information and stuff that I like to share, media, things like that. But yeah, good place to hang out. But thank you again. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, night, wherever it is in your part of the world. I am going to get the raid started for Proxy. And then we are going to go wish a boy a happy birthday. But thank you again, everyone. Take care, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.